Next up, an adventurer who's climbed some of the highest mountains in the world. Among his expeditions, 2 attempts at Mount Everest, Michael Chambers has what he describes as a complicated relationship with that mountain. He was there in 2014 when the deadliest avalanche in history occurred. 16 Sherpas were killed. These are the men who live in the area and help others navigate the dangerous terrain and carry many supplies. It's these men Michael is trying to draw attention to, recently writing a terrific piece that appeared in the New York Times site called Sherpa, They Die, We Go Home. Mike Chambers joins me now. Mike, good to see you.
Good to see you as well. Thank you
When
for
you
having
wrote about, when you did, what is it, 30 million pound block of ice?
30 million pound serac. Yeah,
What
fell
does
off
that
the west shoulder.
sound like? What does that feel like when that happens?
To be honest with you, we were, in the tent minding our business, getting our coffee ready in the morning, and when it comes off, it sounds almost like a cannon. A cannon was let loose, and Everest Base Camp is situated at a valley, or in a valley. And all around the valley, there are these massive hanging glaciers that are called seracs that sporadically break free. So it wasn't a shock for us to hear one let loose. But whenever we would hear the cannon sound, we would always go outside to see what was happening. And in this particular case, we saw the serac release off of the west shoulder of Everest, which is an area that the climbers are frequently going through. And we knew right away that it was going to be a bad situation.
When you say you go outside to see what's going on, is there fear in you when you do that?
Well, when you're at base camp, for the most part, you're safe, with the exception of last year in 2015 when that massive avalanche was triggered by the earthquake. You're normally safe, so we weren't scared.
So Westerners spend what, $60,000 or whatever to climb Everest. What does a Sherpa make when he helps with this thing? What's
a Sherpa typically, so a climbing or a mountain worker in Nepal. So not all of the mountain workers are Sherpa. They're Sherpa is one ethnic group. There are several.
What do they make?
Typically between $4,000 and $6,000 a year, and then Western climbers are making somewhere between $40,000 and $50,000 a year.
And you mentioned that their job is 30 times more deadly than the most dangerous job in the United States, which is logger.
Logging, yeah.
The first time I ever heard about a Sherpa was probably when many people at home first heard about a Sherpa, when you read the great exploits of Sir Edmund Hillary, with Tenzing Norgay, with whom between whom there was total respect. But Hillary was very respectful of Norgay, was he not?
Of course.
And Norgay totally respectful. That has totally changed, has it not?
Well, I think I think that there was still that tension even then. I think that it started as early as then. Tenzing Norgay didn't really get any recognition for his success as one of the first people.
Hillary said that he was there first.
Well, Hillary said that, but in the Western world, we didn't really give him any recognition for it, and it's something that's continued for many years since then.
And it was '53. And speaking of it festering, the year before you were also on Everest, and you were there, and I think we have some pictures of this violent confrontation between some of these Sherpas who had just had it. And what was it? 3 European climbers?
It was two European climbers and an American climber as well. Basically, the climbers ignored the Sherpa's request to stay off a specific section of the route and climbed over them. And when they climbed over them, they kicked ice down, not on purpose, but they kicked ice down. It hit one of the lead climbing Sherpas, and when the lead climbing Sherpa confronted these Western climbers, it became this big verbal confrontation, which happened to take place over the radio. And because it took place over the radio, everyone at Camp 2, everyone at Base Camp, everyone in the vicinity heard it. And some of the words that were exchanged, specifically from one of the renowned Western climbers, some of the things that he was saying were pretty rough. I mean, he essentially called them slaves. And when
which they are to a degree, are they not?
There is definitely some sort of neo-colonialism happening in some capacity there.
You're one of their highest profile advocates. They die, we go home in the New York Times. Is there any hope for reform here, or is this just 1 minute when one climber recognizes their value?
So first of all, I wouldn't say that I'm one of their biggest advocates.
No, you wouldn't,
there are many people who are advocating for them, and there are many people who understand the nuances of the historical and political reasons why things are the way they are there. But I do think that it continues to be missing in the dialogue. Everyone's talking about how to make Everest safer, and it's one factor that continues to be missing in the dialogue. And I think everyone looks to the Nepali government to come up with solutions. But how can the Nepali government struggling to come back after the earthquake of last year be expected to impose regulations that are going to hinder their tourism industry?
The companies that use these guys are the ones that can pay them decently.
It has to be self-regulated in the climbing community. It has to come from the climbing companies that are run by people in Seattle and run by people in even New Hampshire.
So do you have hope that there'll be pressure on those companies, particularly based here, to make that happen?
I think that the climbing community is tired of Everest. I think they're tired of hearing of these stories, and I think at some stage in the near future we're going to see some changes.
You've done a great service. I hope people read your piece.
Thank you very much.
Mike, it's a pleasure to meet you.
Thank you, Jim.